What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today we're going to be hopping on Tier Maker ahead of Retro Round, and I'm going to be ranking the most iconic retro Guernseys over the past 20 or so years. And I've chosen, iconic Guernseys that most people most likely be familiar with over the 90s and early 2000s. I don't really think anything later than like 2007 would be considered a retro Guernsey, and I'm not going to add home Guernseys. I'm going to be adding designs that aren't currently in the league at the moment to have something a little bit different. So let's get into it. Before we do, actually, the tiers we got, Bring It Back, which is essentially the best, amazing, good, average, and then what were they thinking. So first Guernsey we've got is this, one of the few home Guernseys in this list. Most will be away or clash or retro or whatever you want to call them. The Freo one, I think their first home Guernsey. I didn't use the other one. I decided to go for the most, the original one, which is probably most retro. This is all right. It's good, but I don't really like the way the anchor is placed. I don't know, it's a bit weird. I'm gonna chuck it right now in average. I don't really think it's that good, but I might bump it up because there are a few poor ones. This one was a Bulldogs away. They used early 2000s, I think, or late 90s. It's alright, it's just a bit weird, like the way that the red and the designs in this one is a bit weird. It reminds me of like a circus. Just chucking an average for now, not a great start to the tiers. Next one, we've got the Sinkiota one. I like this one a lot. Obviously this Guernsey was their home Guernsey back in the days. It used to be their away, but it was so popular that it replaced their current tricolour Guernsey for like 6 years. I think it's very good. Yeah, bring it back. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Saints fan, but let's be honest with you, most people would probably put the Guernsey in these couple of years. It looks pretty good, and I reckon, I don't know, bring it back. You don't have to have it, maybe just as an away Guernsey. I'll be happy with that. Alright, this one, I did cover it in a video before. I think this is an Origin Energy promotion video jumper where they used it in a few games. Yes, it was a promotional jumper, but it looks pretty crap. I don't know if it's in the what were they thinking tier, because this was a promotional Guernsey, but it's not great. It's borderline what were they thinking. We'll chuck it an average for now. Alright, next up we got a pretty good Adelaide Crows design. Most of the Adelaide away Guernseys look really good. I mean, the Crom do a very good job in making their away Guernseys. I mean, obviously the red, yellow and blue helps with a great colour scheme. I think it's safe to put it in amazing. I put this Guernsey in comparison to the other ones because I think this was used between 1999 and 2005, and I feel like any later than that isn't really retro. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good Guernsey. I like the crow. The shield on the numbers as well looks pretty cool as well. I don't think it's quite as good as the Saints one. I could say I'm biased, but I think that's a fairly good place to put it. I've decided to throw in the Brisbane Bears Guernsey. It's a bit of a throwback. I don't think it's too bad. Weird colours, like very weird colours, the Brisbane Bears, and it's an interesting design, but it's, yeah, as I said before, quite weird. It's a strange Guernsey, but it's almost enough for me to put it in good. This one's a throwback. This is a 1997 M&M promotional Guernsey with a very light blue Guernsey with their old emblem, which they use now. I don't think it's the worst. It looks alright. Like it looks kind of cool from afar. Like it's something different. And if the Blues played in this now, I'd be like, oh, that looks alright. But it's not great, obviously. Obviously, the home Guernsey is a lot better than that. But I still think it's not a bad Guernsey. We'll chuck it. Below the Free. I think it's better than the Bulldogs one. We'll chuck it in average. It's not great. Collingwood one. Yeah, I like it. I know there's a reason why Collingwood don't like. I don't know why exactly Collingwood don't like, experimenting with different Guernsey concepts. Like they always want to go either the home Guernsey or away, nothing else. But this was a pretty good design with the swooping magpie on the Guernsey. I think this was used early 2000s. I like it. Similar to the Adelaide one. I could probably put it up. I think the Adelaide one looks a little bit better, but the fact that it's a Collingwood Guernsey, and you don't see many interesting concepts of a Collingwood Guernsey, that's why it's in amazing. And we got a couple more Freo Guernseys. This one was alright. To be fair, this one's probably in average, in good. I'll chuck it above good, and this one I'll chuck it at the top of average. I think it's actually worse than this one. I don't really know why the white lines had to be separated. It could have done well just with the red, green and purple, but it's not the worst Guernsey in the world. I don't really know why they went for a 3D modernized design. a little bit strange for an AFL Guernsey, but I mean, it's something different. It looks alright. It definitely is retro, like it's a throwback. I'll chuck it in average for now. We'll chuck it in average. Geelong Guernsey, it's pretty good. Nothing amazing though. It's basically their home Guernsey with their old logo on it, but it's definitely a bit of a throwback. We'll chuck it above the Brisbane Bears. I think it looks better than that. It's a pretty decent one. Now this is the epitome of what were they thinking. That's sort of what the tier was made for. That is an absolute shocker of a Guernsey. It looks like something a jockey would wear, but if you guys didn't already know, this was a Hawthorn Guernsey used like in the 1991 pre-season. They didn't use it many, like obviously they only used like once or twice, which is quite obvious, but I'm still chucking it in this list because it's quite an iconic Guernsey, but for the wrong reasons. Next up, we got the North Melbourne Guernsey. I like this one. Not as much as I like the one that I'll be talking about a little bit later on, but you know, I like the pattern and the design. I'll chuck it in the middle of Adelaide and Collingwood. And another one that I think looks pretty good is the Melbourne Guernsey with their old logo coming off the side of it, all red. But I like red; it stands out in Guernseys, and this is definitely a pretty good one. I'll chuck it just above the Collingwood one. Now this North Melbourne one, I know in 2019 the Roos actually had this as their away one, but I think it's probably I could put it and bring it back, but it's already been brought back. But I do really like this Guernsey. We'll chuck it in the bring it back section, even though it's already been brought back but sort of been discontinued. So a bit of a weird one there. And the same Guernsey just in orange. Yeah, I'll chuck it in what were they thinking. I know this is a promotional design or Guernsey for the orange. They were sponsored by the company Orange, but I mean, orange and North Melbourne don't go together, so that's why it goes in that spot. I'm going for the original Port Adelaide home Guernsey with the original, you know, college football style numbers on the back. I think this Guernsey definitely looks better than their current home Guernsey, but I can see why they changed it. You know, it's a more modernized design. I'll chuck it in amazing. I think it's better than the Collingwood. Below the Collingwood, we'll go below. I've got a couple more Port designs. This one's a pretty nice one. Not a lot going on with it, but it's a nice design. We'll chuck it above the Cats one. I think it's a better one. And this one, a bit of a hit or miss. I really do like this design. It's something very different. I like it when teams sort of go outside the box and come up with a very unique design. This is definitely no exceptions. It's a little bit strange for an AFL Guernsey, but at the same time, it's pretty nice. I like the teal that pops out of it. I'll chuck it smack bang in the middle. It screams out retro. Definitely the numbers on the back screams out like Richmond early 2000s, but like the design of the claws, I don't know. It's not great. I don't think. It doesn't look too appealing in my mind. I'll chuck it probably below the Dockers one. Next up, we've got the Sinkiota away Guernsey they used in the early 2000s. This was used in quite a successful period for the Saints, where we would make prelims every year. But let's be honest, I'm not going to be biased in this video. I don't think this is an amazing Guernsey, but I think it works well as an away Guernsey. It's quite a basic design, and there's nothing too much going on with it, but I don't think it's a bad one, so we'll chuck it in the middle of good. Next up, we've got the sort of retro, you could say, Sydney or South Melbourne Guernsey. I think this is a Sydney Guernsey. If anything, I would almost say the white Sydney Guernseys look better than the red ones, but I think this is a fairly good design. Quite simple, but it works with a V. I don't know. Chuck it above the Saints one. I think in the good is a fairer place to put it. Now, the next one is the West Coast one. Now, there were two designs for this, or the two main designs. I think there was another design where it had the words Eagles on the bottom. I've gone with this design as the first. I think this was the first ever Guernsey West Coast brought out. I don't think it's better than the current one. I think the current one is probably their best Guernsey, but I think this is a close second. I like the colours. The eagle, it definitely screams 80s and 90s. This Guernsey definitely gives that sort of vibe off, but I'll probably chuck it in amazing above the Melbourne one, I reckon. And we've got a couple, the last three Guernseys are arguably three of the worst. This one, another Hawks. There might be people who love this one, but this is just weird. It definitely screams retro 90s, but it also screams pretty crap, so we'll chuck it above the orange North one. Now this one's a controversial one because a lot of people either hate it or they love it. I wouldn't say I'm in the middle. I'm more towards the hate it, but I don't think it's the worst Guernsey in the world. It's like someone just threw up on this Guernsey. Like at least 8, 9, probably more, 10 different shades of colours in that Guernsey. Nothing that I would probably say that deserves to be brought back, but it's not the worst in the world. I'll chuck it above the Origin Energy one, above the Carlton one actually. I think it's better than the Carlton one. And then last off, we've got the, you know, a bit of a spin-off towards the old Sinkiota Cross Guernsey, the red one. We've got the yellow one, a Pure Milk. I think this is a promotional one, but again, quite iconic for probably the wrong reasons. Like, this is a notorious Guernsey, one of the worst ones. But the yellow, it stands out. I think yellow Guernseys actually, you know, any Guernsey that is yellow, you know, I give a bit of bonus points towards it. I actually think this doesn't look too bad at all. But because this is for St Kilda, if this is for Richmond or like Adelaide or something like that, it'd be definitely a lot higher above. But because this is St Kilda Guernsey, like St Kilda and yellow don't mix, just like the North one. But I think this looks better than the North Guernsey, so we'll chuck it just below the Dogs one right here. So yeah, that is it. I reckon we can chuck this one towards the what were they thinking. It just doesn't suit well. I don't think it looks very great as a Guernsey. Actually, you know what? The Adelaide one and the North one, bring it back. I reckon it looks pretty cool. Other than that, I think that's pretty good for the tiers. Let me know down below which Guernseys do you like the best out of these this list, and which ones do you want to see brought back into the AFL. I know for a fact the AFL aren't watching this nor listening to this, so nothing I say will matter, but I think it's still pretty fun nonetheless. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Check out my Sporkle video I did yesterday. It hasn't done very well, so you know, feel free to go check that one out. And stay tuned for tomorrow's video. It'll be a very, very exciting one, that's for sure. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys soon in my next one.